What's up, comic book fans, and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me, and today we got more Fall of the House of X. This time with issue 3 of Rise of the Powers of X, and oh my God, guys, this issue is complete fire. And I promise you're gonna want to stay to the end because the ending of this issue will have you stunned. And as I look at Professor Charles Xavier, I'm reminded of the line, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I think that fits this story to a T. And if you're wondering how we got to this point that we can even think of Xavier as a possible villain, then I'll leave a card at the top of the screen and a link at the end of the video for the Fall of the House of X playlist. I promise you won't want to miss a single issue of this event so far. But if you're ready to see Professor Xavier's long-awaited plan finally at work, then you know what time it is. Let's get it. So this issue starts off just like issue 2 did, with young Moira on the day her X gene is to activate in her 10th life. This is the life where she chooses to do something different with Xavier and Magneto together. Mutant solidarity, the life that will lead to Krakoa. And as she heads down to the meadow, she finds something else different. Our future No Place X version of Charles Xavier, sitting on a bench waiting for her. This is the moment that this whole Rise of the Powers of X portion of this event has been building up to, ladies and gentlemen. The much hyped meeting between Xavier and young Moira. Is he here to kill her and wipe out the Krakoan timeline? And as she approaches, he tells her not to run, as it won't do any good anyway since he's frozen everybody within half a mile. But he just wants to talk. Now remember, with this being Moira's 10th life, she already knows what today is, and she already knows who Xavier is because she retains the memories from each of her lives. So when she sees Xavier right here at this time on this day, then she knows that he's only here for one reason. But you're wrong, old friend, he tells her, as he begins to stand up. I do want to talk. I need you to understand what is happening and why. As he then pulls a weapon and trains a laser on her forehead. He wants to talk for one last time. Then we transition to the current time and where we left off at the end of issue 2 with Moira during the X-Men invasion on Earth as she's approached by Enigma Dominion. And she's met a Dominion before, so she recognizes that's what she's in the presence of now, but which Dominion specifically, she doesn't know. But then as Omega Sentinel approaches, Enigma shushes Moira, because right now he only wants his presence known to her and only her. And when Omega approaches, she wants Moira to assist with phase 2 of their plan. But Moira sends her off for the moment, with the promise of rejoining her soon. And she then continues her conversation with this Dominion as he begins to create notes for her, with the first one letting her know that she's not yet come in contact with him as a Dominion, but Omega has. In fact, it was him that brought her here. Then she asks, why do you want me to join you? And then again another note appears. You join me and I'll be able to travel the timelines of your previous lives, a far larger space, to which you are the only key. As it is, I am trapped inside this timeline and its dependents. However, even with these limitations, I can assist Nimrod's present AI uprising. And Moira's like, okay, yeah, that's great for us AIs, but what's in it for me? Then she gets another note. Educated self-interest. This I can work with. Then we're taking to No Place X as it's now under heavy attack from these Time Sentinels. And Rasputin 4 is the only defense as she continues to fight off these Sentinels from outside of No Place X. But they're starting to breach it now and these guys still need more time. Sinister Doug needs more time for the tendrils to regrow to get them moving again. And Rachel reminds them that Xavier needs more time to finish his mission with Moira. Because remember, Rachel doesn't know what Xavier's actual plan is. She only thinks Xavier's plan is to speak with Moira. Meanwhile, Mother Righteous insists that she could get them out of this jam if they would have just let her out of her egg. But Rasputin has zero trust for any kind of Sinister, and insists that no one listen to Mother Righteous's lies. All while unbeknownst to Rasputin and the rest is that Doug is also a sinister clone as he continues to work on getting them moving again, just before Sentinel's hand breaches the inside of No Place X. We then go back to the meeting between Charles Xavier and young Moira, as Xavier still has his laser aimed at her forehead, and she wants to know what happens. Did this plan for mutant solidarity not work? Does it go badly? Badly enough to make Charles Xavier do this? And he tries explaining to her that the man she knew would never have. But he's the version of the man that's left behind after this 10th life version of her convinced him that it was best to compromise. And then she betrays them all because it's actually all about her saving her own skin. But remember, this young version of Moira has all of the memories of her past lives, but she hasn't yet lived through that point in her 10th life. So she really has no idea what Charles is talking about. But what she does know is that if she did do it, that it's because she was scared to die. She wants to live, but she's so trapped. But we're all trapped, Moira, Charles rebuts to her. To be human is to be trapped. You were a fool to think that being a mutant changed that. And you convinced us all to be fools. Damn you and damn me. And now as she screams no and tries to run away, telling him that he's damning himself, he just straight up freezes her right in her tracks, telling her that he knows what he's throwing away. He wanted to be a part of a family. He wanted to be loved. He thought he could have both, but he was mistaken. Turns out he could only have one or the other, and he's making that choice now. You told me. It's not a dream if it's real, he tells her. It needs to be a dream again. Xavier, the curator of the dream, is dead. We killed him together, you and I. The dream must go on without me. And finally, the world will go on without you. Man, I'm telling y'all, this right here is one hell of a classic heel turn by Xavier. He's going cold-blooded right before our eyes. But we then go back to No Place X after the Sentinel breach, and Doug is down before he could get them moving again. But Rasputin 4 comes to his aid as she cuts off the hand of the Sentinel, allowing Doug the time he needs to get back up and get them moving, buying them even more time. And as she reseals the breach, she acknowledges that that was a close one. And as she goes to ask Doug, how did you? He turns his head, revealing to her the sinister diamond on his forehead. And he tries to explain to her to not rush to conclusions. I swear I'm part of the plan, and we're all on the same side. But Rasputin is floored, and she tells them, if it's your plan, then it's wrong. We have to abort now. And then she runs off to Rachel, screaming that it's not Doug Ramsey, it's Sinister. And we have to stop Xavier from killing Moira. And now Rachel is pissed. She's like, what? Xavier's gonna kill Moira? I told y'all this issue is so damn good, it's crazy. And as we then go back to Charles and Moira, and now Moira acknowledges that Charles still hasn't yet pulled that trigger. It's hard to kill children. She's known Charles in most of her lives. She probably knows him even better than he does himself. And she tells him, are you really gonna do this? Is there another way forward? A kinder way? This is the kindest way available to us, he replies to her. The other path is worse. And she's like, so the best way is leaving the corpse of a child in her family's garden? And he's like, yep, yes it is. Isn't that petrifying? Charles is a cold gangster right now. And then, ladies and gentlemen, he does it. He pulls the trigger. But then in that moment, Rasputin 4 arrives, shielding Moira from the bullet and screaming for Xavier to get away from her, as a now pissed off and lied to Rasputin is after Charles's head. You stand with Sinister, she quotes. We're following his plan. You lied about it to me. And as Charles tries to put up a shield to protect himself, he rebuts to her that this is not Sinister's plan, it's mine. I have neither the time nor the patience to explain myself to anyone. Hate me, fine. I'll be hated to save you all, and I'll stand with whoever I need to for that. And then he floods Rasputin's mind with an army of zombie Sinisters. And she's like, I'll kill an army of him to stop you. And he agrees. But the question is, can you do it in time, he asks, as he then catches back up to Moira and points the weapon back at her. But then Rachel jumps into his mind and tells him that he may not need to explain anything to anyone. But the anyone wants to explain things to you. Before you do this, my team wants to talk about the dream, about Krakoa, what it means, why you can't wipe it away, no matter what, and especially like this. Listen. And it appears that Rachel is able to calm Charles back down as he tells Rachel that she doesn't know what she's asking of him. But he won't destroy Krakoa. He'll save mutant kind the other way. And he lowers the weapon and tells Moira that he's hoping that she makes the right decision in the end. That you think of something other than yourself. And then he wipes this memory from her mind of what just happened. And he and Rasputin 4 walk away, and he lets Rasputin know that the Matrix-infused Sinisters are designed to dissolve via zero fluid. He knows he has much to explain, and he regrets all of this. But they're gonna have to cover their tracks if they are to move forward. And she agrees. They remove the mistake and go. Then we go back to future Moira and her conversation with Enigma, and he's basically just offered her godhood if she accepts. And of course, she does. She accepts. And she essentially lets the Dominion into her mind so he can access all of her timelines. And then we go back to No Place X, and now Sinister Doug is giving Charles a hard time about not completing the mission. And he notifies the team that he's gotten them clear of the Hunter Killers for now. And that now it also feels good for him to not pretend anymore to be Doug. But Rasputin 4 has heard enough, and she tries to charge him, but Xavier holds her back, pleading with her that they need him. And she's like, really? We need him? Like Krakoa needed him? Remember how that turned out, sir? And then Charles thinks for a second, and then he lets her go like, very well. And now Sinister Doug freaks out like, Xavier, how could you? Then Rasputin puts a sword straight through him. And as she begins to feel shame for enjoying how that made her feel, Charles tells her to feel shame for yourself is sometimes necessary. As then Rachel begins to scold Charles for the decision he was about to make. Charles then tells her that sometimes shame is the cause, and it was the best option they had. The alternative is worse. It is so much worse and more unlikely. But you win. We will try it. As Rachel finishes that statement for him, that we will resurrect the Phoenix. It'll work. I know it will. Charles then picks up his heat and then says to Rachel, I know it's late for this, but you should know, I'm sorry. And then he blasts Rachel in the back. Turn. Professor X has gone full heel turn. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. Damn, y'all. Was that not a fire issue like I said? It kind of makes you wonder now, was Xavier the whole reason Moira flipped on Krakoa in the first place to begin with? Is this about to come full circle and Xavier is the reason why Krakoa fell? I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments. But what did you think about this issue, and how are we feeling about this event in its entirety so far? So many twists from issue to issue. I just hope that they can bring it home strong in the end, but I'm loving this event so far. But as always, you guys, if you enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you could do so by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And there'll be a link to join in the description, but with your membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly. And we can talk about everything going down in these events, like especially this Xavier heel turn, as well as stuff that you like for me to go over in the future and other comic book news as well. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shout-outs, and channel previews of what's to come, and even more in these videos. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do either of these, then you can still be a tremendous help to this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.